Philadelphia, baby, you're going to love it. Best sports fans in the world. Actually, the worst, but that's what makes them the best.
What is going on, everybody? Welcome into episode number 446 of Underground Sports Philadelphia. A bit of a different setup tonight. I'm on location. Matt's remote. We got a lot going on this week here at Underground Sports Philadelphia. We'll get into where I'm at in just a little bit. But if you're watching on Facebook, Twitch, Twitter, welcome in to another episode of the pod. We got a lot to get into tonight from the Phils, the Sixers, the Union, and of course that team that might just be dead that plays at the Wells Fargo Center, not named the Sixers. We'll get into all of that. But before we get started, make sure you guys are following us on the socials at Underground PHI on Twitter, on Instagram. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Make sure you check out our giveaway. That is our pinned tweet at Underground PHI. We're giving away that issue number 22 variant cover of Wolverine with Brian Dawkins on the cover. They just came in this past week, a couple days ago, and to my knowledge, Matt, had no idea that this was also the case for the comics. They are one of 3,000 in existence for the variant cover. So limited edition Brian Dawkins piece to add to somebody's collection is up for grabs over on our Twitter account. Go check that out. And of course, make sure you check out our website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com. Christian, our in-depth movie guy, has a Thor Love and Thunder review coming out tomorrow. So make sure you check that out when that drops. And of course, subscribe to the Underground Sports Philadelphia YouTube channel and the podcast feeds, wherever you get your podcasts, Apple, Spotify. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews. And of course, on YouTube, subscribe, click the bell icon, hit the like button, comment down below, and share the channel with your friends. Just surpassed the 150 subscriber mark this week. Let's keep that thing rolling. We got a lot of subscribers rolling in lately, so go check out the YouTube. You get full video episodes of all your favorite Underground Sports Philadelphia shows. And of course, big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen: Main Auto LLC, Ducharme's Pro Foot, Security 21 Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, Mark Ronchetti CPA LLC, and the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland. Tomahawk Shades, the best small batch eyewear in the game. I got my sunglasses here at Episcopal Academy right now outside of Philadelphia. The sun is out. You got to protect your eyes this summer and all year round. Go to tomahawkshades.com. You get the sunglasses, the blue light glasses, prescription lenses, and everything in between. And use our code USP for 25% off your order at tomahawkshades.com. Kenwood Beer. It's the best beer in Philadelphia. It's the only beer you should be drinking. Go to kenwoodbeer.com and use the Kenny tracker. They've been advertising, Matt, lately, dropping a lemon in the Kenny. Kenny with lemon might be the drink of the summer. Go check that out at kenwoodbeer.com. You got to be 21 or older to do so. And, of course, please drink responsibly. And I am at Episcopal Academy, everybody, because I'm here for the Shootout for Soldiers Philadelphia event. Their mission is to use lacrosse as a platform to support American veterans and foster community engagement. Started by a group of high schoolers in Maryland in 2012, Shootout for Soldiers has raised over $4 million to support our nation's veterans. Shootout for Soldiers events are an opportunity to educate and connect the civilian and military communities while fostering empathy and understanding. They've been a huge support of everything we do with Outside the Box and everything we're doing with Underground Sports. So shout out to them for having us out here tonight for their Philadelphia event at Episcopal Academy. Matt, we talked about it briefly going into what we knew was impending doom in Toronto for the Philadelphia Phillies. Oddly enough, not as many guys out as we expected, but some of that might have been alleviated by, demotions to AAA, injuries, but only 4 guys missing the trip, 3 of which we've dubbed the Bozo Brigade in, unfortunately, our guy Alec Boehm, Aaron Nola, JT Realmuto, who we'll get into in just a bit, and Kyle Gibson also not there, but Kyle Gibson did come out and say that he has not gotten the vaccine due to a medical condition that he has with ulcerative colitis, that the medications he takes does not allow him to properly build antibodies. So we have removed Kyle Gibson from the Bozo Brigade, but the other 3 just kind of know what they're dealing with, and JT Realmuto, Matt, believes that $260,000 is just a little bit of money.
I mean, I guess relative to him, it's a little bit of money. To the everyday person, it's quite a bit of money, I would say. I could do a lot with $260,000, but it is frustrating because it's not that hard. I don't know. And here's my hypothetical. Let's say the Phillies make the World Series and they play the Blue Jays. These guys still gonna get this? Like, come on.
And here's the thing: JT Realmuto said we're not going to talk about hypotheticals.
Okay. Why would we? Of course. It's frustrating, and I think it sucks because it compounds on the injury problems this team already has. You're missing pretty much half your starting lineup now with those guys not being available to play in Toronto. And, Bryce out, Gene out, Gene's been out, Bryce now we've had that. But you've seen this team get cold. Castellanos has not been able to kind of carry the load, and it's a heavy load to carry at this point when you consider the guys unavailable to us. And in a way, it feels like a schedule loss, almost like it's very hard to go to Toronto right now and win under those circumstances. But it was a winnable game, and also at the same time, a game we probably should have lost, had a heavier loss in. Kind of a surprise, actually, we were in it the way that we were. Totally dominant pitching performance, and I would say also a very ineffective hitting performance by the Phillies. Surprised that it was as close as it was, to be honest.
Yeah, I mean, it's back-to-back games now dating back to the Monday loss against the Cardinals, where they've had 8 or more hits. They had 11 in that Monday Cardinals game, and they can't win a game. Like, that's just unacceptable from this team in particular, knowing the hitting power that they have, how well they've been playing, relatively speaking, over the past couple of months. But this just kind of overemphasizes the fact that at the trade deadline, Dave Dombrowski has to go out and get, outfield help because, like you said, Nick Castellanos has been so cold relative to what we know him to be. And I don't know how much of that is playing into he's had to, play the field every day. And it's something that going into the year, he wasn't really prepared for. Not that that's an excuse, but I think you need outfield help. Matt Vierling should be playing every day in center field, by the way. And you need starting pitching help desperately because you can't go down the stretch, the rest of July, August, September, and just rely on Zack Wheeler, who has been dominant all year long, got snubbed from the AllStar game, which I am dying on the hill that Major League Baseball just hates Zack Wheeler. And then Aaron Nola is just the new Cole Hamels where he can't get run support to save his life. You don't have anybody else in this rotation, realistically speaking. Even with Kyle Gibson there, he struggled a lot this year. There's nobody else there behind those two guys who have been horses for this Phillies team that you can rely on in very pivotal games down the stretch, especially in the month of August when you're playing a majority of the NL East.
Yeah, so Castellanos is interesting too because he's been getting hits, but it's just like the power has not been there, and he just hasn't looked threatening. And you look at his like defensive numbers too, not been fantastic. I don't know what it is with like we can't get guys to play defense. I don't understand.
Are we blaming this on him buying Ben Simmons' house?
I think maybe we need higher strength stage. That's it. That's the only thing I can think of. But you hope he works through it. I think you're right about the pitching too. Especially Eflin's season, I would say, is nebulous at this point. Feels like we haven't gotten a clear update on him, and he's had injuries in the past. Ranger Suarez, probably fine as a fifth option, but again, dealing with some injury stuff right now. I think we've kind of forgotten that the Phillies are in such a bad way, injury-wise. I think because the team has been winning, playing well, that we haven't really dove into that, and especially now with Bryce out, you're really feeling Bryce's absence, I would say, in this moment. And yeah, it'd be great for Reese to get hot again. If he could pick it up, we really need like June Reese back. That would be fantastic. But I think it's frustrating, because you lose that card series, and that felt like a real opportunity to obviously make up ground in the wild card race. And now you go to Toronto, tough place to play given our circumstances, and then you go to Miami. It's a bad stretch.
House of Horrors.
Right, like a place historically we just have not done well at. So, it's. I'm not saying like I'm receding into the shell, but it cools off a little bit of the hype, especially when you consider there's no. Outside of like obviously like JT Bohm, all those guys will be back. for Miami. But I would say there's no clear like remedy coming, because the remedy is like Bryce being back. I would say even Gene being back. Hopefully like mid to late August. It seems like he could return, which is still a long way away. But like those are the kind of things you need, and you need some help. Obviously, the trade deadline, which is rapidly approaching. So there's no like quick fix for this team in the moment. You just kind of have to ride out I would say like an uncomfortable period.
It does seem kind of weird too, because I was thinking about it as we sit here July 13th. It feels like in years past, there's been more noise around, players that teams are interested in, especially the Phillies on those like lower end players. It's like, oh yeah, they've had interest in this guy, and that guy. It seems it's like almost too quiet for a Dave Dombrowski trade deadline to me. Obviously, like Andrew Benintendi, who also can't play in Toronto, so he'd fit right in, is a guy that has been linked to the Phillies for outfield help because of his connection with Dombrowski from his time in Boston. But it also feels like not a lot of players are, quote unquote, being made available via trade. Like a lot of people it feels like this trade deadline is going to come down to like July 30th, July 31st deals, and nothing really is going to materialize before then.
I would say one of the things with that too is that you look around baseball, there are obviously some bad teams, but there are a lot of teams that I think are going to have to make a very difficult decision over the next 2 weeks about, the direction of their season and of their team. But you look around, like most divisions, there's at least 3 teams very much still in, if not the division race, playing for the wild card. Some of those divisions have 4 or 5 teams.
The entire AL East now.
The entire AL East is like
500 or better.
500 or better, or would be leading most other divisions or in the divisional rate. Like, there's no clear team that's like, like I said, there are bad teams in baseball right now, obviously, but I wouldn't. I feel like in years past there's just been a higher number of bad teams. It feels like there's a lot of like the bell curve this year. Like the average team is a lot wider. Those outliers, you obviously have, like teams like the Yankees, the Dodgers, still mashing it. The Mets to a certain extent, but like that middle ground is a lot more expansive, I would say, than in years past. At least it seems that way.
Yeah, it feels like there's 3 teams that are like dead in the water right now in Major League Baseball. It's the Royals, the A's, and the Nationals.
I'd say the Reds too. I think that's because they were dead at the start of the season.
Even them, they're like pulling off feet.
Your owner telling you to F off and go watch baseball somewhere else. You know what? It's kind of it's like that Matthew McConaughey movie. Like failure to launch, I think, was the issue with the Reds.
And even so, like they're going out and accomplishing things against the Yankees that no other team has done this year. Because baseball. I do have another stupid baseball thing because the Phillies finish up their series against Toronto. They just had first pitch right before we went live. The Blue Jays fired their manager today. The third manager in baseball to get fired this year. Joe Girardi obviously being the first, Joe Maddon the second, and then the Blue Jays firing their manager now. Joe Girardi being the first, and then Joe Maddon gets fired after the Angels play against the Phillies. This stat comes from Jason Stark. The Blue Jays fire their manager after playing the Phillies. And then Girardi and the Blue Jays both fired after wins because that's how baseball works.
Yeah. They were, what were they? They were like 1-9 going in that. They've been slumping pretty bad. So change was needed, but I guess got over the line, good for them. The curse of the Phillies, I think, is really what this is about.
Very wild to fire your manager mid-series, because I think Maddon got fired like right after the Phillies going into a new one. To fire your manager, like even though it is a 2-game series, like very interesting move by the Blue Jays there, who are now 2-8 in their last 10.
Goddamn Blue Jays! It's just like what a rough time.
And one thing that
something about the Phillies this year. They've been.
If you want to fire your manager, play the Phillies.
Yeah.
One thing that is making me nervous going into the All-Star break, though, Matt, it is official. Kyle Schwarber in the home run derby. It seems like the entire NL East will be in the home run derby when it's all said and done. We have 6 of the 8 confirmed participants, 4 of them from the NL East. Albert Pujols will be participating, and rookie sensation for the Seattle Mariners, Julio Rodriguez, just confirmed today that he will be in. But it is Kyle Schwarber. It is Pete Alonso going for the three-peat, which has only been done by Ken Griffey Jr., Juan Soto, and Ronald Acuna Jr. in the home run derby.
Don't care about Pete Alonso. Nobody cares. Schwarber being in is a little frustrating because there is, I think, a history of guys in the home run derby cooling off afterwards. We really like. I would love it if it's actually like a historic home run derby. If people are hitting like 35 in the first round or something, and Schwarber does great, but he just doesn't make it past the first round. You're like he puts up a great show, but then that's it, and he just kind of gets to cool off, like drink body armor or whatever it is off to the side, like with some kid or something. Like that's kind of what I'm hoping for. I hope he has a great experience, but I hope he's not. I hope he's not Bobby Abreuing it. Like that's what I'm looking forward to hopefully happening.
Well, when it comes to the home run derby, we will be running it back. We did a home run derby stream last year with myself, Pat Pitts, Stephen McAvoy, and my boy DJ Hughes, now the co-host of Outside the Box. We are running it back, second annual big bash stream happening on Monday night. And Stephen McAvoy, host of the Get in the Hole podcast, has presented me with a bet, Matt. And it plays into both of our shows. Now, Stephen McAvoy, a notorious Mets fan, being from Long Island, has approached me with this. If Pete Alonso wins the home run derby, I have to buy him a Pete Alonso jersey, but I have to get it shipped to me, and I would have to wear it on the main show. So I'd have to rock the Pete Alonso jersey on Underground Sports Philadelphia. If Kyle Schwarber wins, he buys me the Schwarber jersey, and vice versa. He will wear it on Get in the Hole before sending it over to me. And then if neither of them win, we kind of just break even, and no jersey will be purchased. But I just need Pete Alonso to not win, because I would never forgive myself wearing a Mets jersey on this show.
Yeah, well, we could make it happen. I think we can make some. Where's the All-Star game this year?
It is at Dodger Stadium, which is a big reason why people think Zack Wheeler has been snubbed for the All-Star game, because Clayton Kershaw is an All-Star this year.
Sick. You know what's weird about Zack Wheeler, too, is like he's having just as good of a season as he did last year when he should have won the Cy Young, and yet, like, nothing for the All-Star game.
He's got a 2.46 ERA. He's 8-2 this season. And I believe he's on pace to equal or better his strikeouts from last year.
Nah.
All-Star? Get him out.
No, Kyle, he pitches too many innings. You know that thing that you want pitchers to do? He does
Unbelievable.
too much of
that. And yet, guys like Luis
slightly
Castillo.
less efficient over 70 more innings than the guy who won. So
ridiculous. And then Luis Castillo from the Reds. Obviously, every team gets a representative, but every single statistical category, Zack Wheeler blows him away.
Rule. Let's maybe stop that rule. Like baseball's got a lot of dumb, archaic stuff. I think that's one of them. Not every other sport gets an automatic representative. It's nice, but come on, what are we doing?
And if you're the Reds, it's coming towards the end of his career. I would have just said, hey, can we just put Joey Votto in instead?
Or how about this? You send Castillo, but also send him with his agent. And it's like, all right, like just like mingle, like whoever you make, it's like an icebreaker thing. Like whoever you make fast friends with, that's the team we're going to trade you to. So you get some.
Everybody said Dave Dombrowski can right the ship by trading for Luis Castillo.
Yeah, find someone with the same shoe size as you. Find someone with the same amount of siblings that you have. And that's how you narrow down your trade targets. So
Yeah. The All-Star Game in LA, so it's going to be, bright and sunny at 8:00 p.m. Eastern time when
so stupid.
the game and the home run derby are happening.
I'm so tired of pandering to the West Coast. How did we get here as a country?
It's so ridiculous.
We have to watch stuff at like 9 p.m. so some schmucks in LA can finish dinner and get right into primetime viewing. I'm sick of it.
Well, they'll actually either be watching it on their phones or tablets or Teslas because they'll be stuck in LA traffic watching everything.
So dumb.
They're not getting home in time to watch everything. They're stuck on whatever interstates out there. Why do we cater
these people? They
exactly.
have to wait to watch anyway. Like, what are we doing? Man,
it's so ridiculous.
We need to get on mountain time. That's what we need. That's the perfect one. 2 hours is like nice.
I agree. Everything in Denver. Let's go.
Yeah. Come on. Let's make that happen. I hate time zones. The absolute worst.
Agreed. They're terrible. Like, more than 50% of the population lives in Eastern time zone in the United States.
It honestly, this maybe is going to sound old man. It has ruined sports viewing for me because I just can't stay up till like 11:30 on a weeknight
so bad
and watch sports. Like I don't know how people do that. I really don't. I can't do that really on a weekend. Like whatever. I'll wake up whenever I need to. Like it's brutal. I'm very jealous.
That's why I thought
in a way.
The wraparound game against the Cardinals on a Monday, I was like, oh, this will be cool. Maybe it's on at like 2:15, whatever. No, regular 7:15 start time on a wraparound series, and you got to go to Toronto the very next day.
So stupid.
Just terrible. One trade target I did see that potentially could be available is a pitcher I listed off last week, Matt. Chad Kuhl looks like he could be up for grabs from the Rockies. If Dave Dombrowski is not on the phone with the Rockies during the All-Star break, I will be very confused because that's another team that has so many rental players that if you get them, especially pitching, if you get them out of Coors, I'd love to see how they play. And Chad Kuhl seems like a very equal kind of thing to Joe Blanton was in 2008 in a sense. Like it's not going to blow you out of the water going to trade for a big name guy like a Frankie Montas or something like that. But if you can get Chad Kuhl as an expiring contract, he'll be a free agent after the year. Go get him to be like your number 3, number 4. I would love that move for the Phillies.
Yeah. You love Rockies pitchers.
I love Rockies pitching.
That is just your type. You have a type, and it is usually a bearded man from the Rockies. That is your peak male performance.
That is my aesthetic. But they're another team that I feel like everybody in baseball should be calling. The Pirates are another team that people should be calling. And like you said, that middle ground of baseball this year is just so even almost that the trade deadline is going to be crazy for the first time in a long time. Taking a look, though, at our favorite thing to look at, Matt, it is the NL East and baseball run differential brought to you by our pals over at Pickup. You guys can go to playpickup.com, start playing the hottest headlines in sports, including the season-long NL East run differential prop that's over there right now. Playpickup.com. You rack up points on your fan profiles by getting those props correct. It's free to play. Anybody can play. And then you cash out those points for prizes in the pickup marketplace. Go to playpickup.com now and start playing those headlines. Matt, the New York Mets still leading the way at 55-34. They're kind of coming back towards the means a little bit. Not crazily, but, they're not as hot as they were in April and May. But they still have a plus 74 run differential.
Hold on. You say the Mets, as the season going along, starting to cool off? That does not track with the history of the New York Mets baseball team, Kyle. That's crazy.
I saw a video.
That is so out of character for them.
I saw a video on Twitter the other day that I have to send to you. It was people just doing like a man on the street interview at Citi Field. And they were talking about, what's the best part about being a Mets fan? It's like going through the highs and lows and, building up with the team and building connections. And then they asked what the worst part is. And the guy goes, May to September.
Yeah, well,
Uh,
here's the thing about highs and lows. There's got to be some highs at some point, right? Like, winning, I think would be a nice high to get. So I don't
did you
know.
also did
Plenty
you
of
also
lows, plenty of
a
character
lot of
development
lows?
there. A lot of suffering.
Very questionable tweet today too by the Mets. I don't know if you saw that. It was making the rounds on Twitter. I guess whenever Eduardo Escobar hits a home run, they call it a Fogo bomb.
I'm sorry.
And they changed the O's to the apple. Obviously, that's like the Mets shtick, and it just kind of looks like they're censoring letters.
I just looked at it. Oh my God! Come on, someone has to be at the wheel there.
I saw that
Oh
tweet this
man,
afternoon, and my jaw was on the ground.
that's tough. You know what? Just don't do it again.
That's an internet 1.0. Like you read the replies on there, and you just get a good laugh.
Yeah,
You get a great laugh out of it.
Oh man.
The Mets, baby, those New York Cicadas, they are at a plus 74 run differential. The Atlanta Braves are at a plus 68 run differential, sitting 2.5 games out of first place in the NL East. Our fighting Phils at 46 and 42 at plus 53, still hanging
Remember when the
around.
Phillies won like 13 straight and made up no ground on the Braves? Remember? So goddamn stupid.
It's ridiculous. The ever annoying Miami Marlins at 41 and 45, still at a plus 1 run differential.
They're hanging in there. They're committed. They said this year's for Jeter. For those we've lost along the way.
And then that stolen franchise, the Washington Nationals at 30 and 59, sitting at a whopping minus 144, which I believe is still the worst run differential in baseball.
By actually a pretty decent margin too. Yeah, pretty decent margin still. So the closest is the Pirates with a minus 124.
And yet they're 8.5 games better than the Nationals this year.
Nats have just been getting crushed.
The Pirates and the Marlins are the biggest like weirdo run differential like questions in baseball. The Marlins are below 500, still have had a positive run differential pretty much all season. And then you have the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have been just bad, but still hanging around in the NL Central at minus 124. And then the teams below them are not even like close. Like the Cubs are at minus 71, and then the Cincinnati Reds are at minus 95.
Pirates, what an enigma. The whole state of Pennsylvania, actually.
Keystone, baby. Keystone.
Something about the fracking, I think, is really thrown off the vibe.
Matt, since the last time we recorded together, James Harden has done the thing. He has signed the deal. It's a 1-1. Shout out to Sixers Adam. I was not expecting it to be a 1-1. I wasn't sure how Daryl Morey was going to approach it. I feel really good, though, that this was the outcome of the James Harden contract.
Yeah, so taking a slight discount, nothing insane, but you expect that once he opts out next year, at the end of 2 years, going to get a nice big contract. But yeah, it's a little bit team friendly in that way, which is nice. Allows the Sixers to have some flexibility. It doesn't seem like the Sixers have many moves left this offseason. The league in general has kind of just been plugged up by the Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving nonsense. We do now know that apparently Donovan Mitchell, the Jazz are at least listening to offers on Donovan Mitchell, so that could be another kind of gear shifting.
Who was at that white party with Joel Embiid and James Harden, Matt?
Very right. There we go. And, I think we reported that first, actually. Just kidding. So the league in general, I think, is kind of, and you see it at this point in free agency, too, where I would say, too, it's hard to see teams making tons of trades now because I think GMs and the front office fall in love with the team that they've built. Not to mention that, now cap space is evaporated a lot more. It's the reason you're seeing a tough resolution to the DeAndre Ayton situation, right? Because there's only so many teams that can even afford to send him a qualifying offer. So, it's kind of just slowed down now while see these big moving pieces, I think, have to be resolved before maybe we see something like the Sixers, adding a fringe piece. But I would like to see them add a wing if we can still. But I think as the days go on, you start to lose a little faith in that happening.
And I think this has just reaffirmed a lot of trust from Sixers fans in Daryl Morey, where he didn't go all out and give James Harden the giant max contract. He didn't tie us down cap wise. I think a lot of Sixers fans took a nice sigh of relief in a sense, knowing that Daryl didn't cap strap this team for the next 5 years because his guy is here and wanted to have him here long term. I think Daryl made one of the smartest moves arguably of his career by doing that, because it gives the Sixers a team that doesn't really have a lot of flexibility in terms of trades because of all the draft picks that they've moved. And just roster assembly over the past couple of years has been a question. I think this move, is very smart by Daryl Morey and has reassured a lot of people that Daryl knows what he's doing.
Yeah, I think we've made our jokes about the Rockets retread a lot this offseason. I think there's some valid criticism there, but I would take Daryl Morey over a lot of GMs in this league. So I think he's still a very smart and talented guy. So I'm happy to have him and James here too. I think Harden, we saw, I think, the best and the worst of him in so many ways last season. And, we've seen what I think we all knew was there, but we're a little afraid to admit, which is that sometimes in the playoffs or sometimes he can have these moments, these nights where he's just not as effective as you want, not as aggressive. And yet you see these flashes. We saw it even in the playoffs. We saw a few games where it's this is just what we need more of. You hope that this offseason and going into next year, you get that really reinvigorated James, and you think the Brooklyn situation was as toxic as it was. I think that was bad for just about everyone involved. You hope that that's just far behind them. And yeah, it's a good deal for the Sixers, I would say, his re-signing, and we'll see what happens in the future with his contract there. But there's still hope, I would say, that you can maybe add another piece this offseason, and that would be kind of rounding out what you've done. I think overall it's been a positive, a net positive offseason. It has been amazing. Hasn't blown the doors off of anyone, but I think it's been good so far.
And I think Mike Levin said this on the Rights to Ricky Sanchez, worst case scenario this season, goes up in flames. It's not great. Trade deadline, you have Tobias expiring. You have James Harden expiring, essentially. So there's pieces to move at the deadline. If the worst case scenario happens and you have to hit the reset button at the trade deadline, there are big contracts that you can kind of alleviate yourself from and kind of, figure things out if that does arise.
Yeah, LeBron and KD on this team next year after we trade James and Tobias expiring contract. That'll be nice.
And then a couple more basketball topics. Did you see on the Summer League broadcast? I think it was the Warriors and the Celtics. JJ Redick said that Philadelphia is the best sports city in the country.
Okay, JJ. Well, maybe you should have stayed here. I don't know.
And then apparently WNBA is getting pretty hot in the streets that Philadelphia might be one of the next expansion cities.
Yeah, it's kind of surprised me that Philly wasn't a team from the beginning. That Philly has shown time and time again that no matter the sport, there's always a following here. WNBA in general, the WNBA has gotten more and more successful and popular over the years. I can't see it being anything other than at least a mild success. I really think people would be into it. I would love to have, as literally every league every professional sports league, no matter how small the sport or e-sport, whatever, I'd love to have Philadelphia have a hand in all of it. So I would say it's kind of been coming. We should have had this a while ago, but I would be excited to have a WNBA team in Philly for sure.
You already know we'd be covering it here, so if you're
Yes.
interested in the WNBA, like, hit our lines and get in early, because that would definitely be something on our docket. Speaking of rabid fan bases, Matt, the Union today full-time acquiring Julian Carranza from Miami. You said before we started recording, he was on loan, full-time here now. How would you rate, him being here now full-time, what it does for this Union team?
Yeah, I would say his time here has been pretty good so far. Can't forget too, he's 22 years old, so plenty of room to grow still within this team. The Union have kind of on the fly retooled this attack, and now you have Gazdag, Ura, and Carranza all kind of playing very well, I would say, in the last few weeks, and they've chipped in different ways, and we're starting to see, especially, you have two new signings there that, you're trying to bet in. He's a good signing. He just had a hat trick the other week, so it's very hard to to really poo-poo. It was funny, we were talking a little bit about that last week, and I was like, yeah, they played DC United this week, pretty crappy team. You should be good. 7-0 win. Like, just one of the.
There's somebody that the Union tweeted out tonight on their Twitter that they have a Union jersey. The nameplate is DC United, and the jersey number is 7.
I mean, it could have been like 10 or 11. That's how lopsided that game was. But Carranza's a good signing. Again, we've lost Santos, we lost Shabilko, but we've turned profits on them. And if you look at the way Shabilko has played this season, I think a lot of Union fans would say kind of glad that we've moved on from that. And I know Santos, there was some I think there was some negativity around that. I think there's some head scratching. I think the Union have earned a lot of credit and a lot of leash with me on. They know how to make these smart decisions on the periphery and on the edges and come out on top. I know people, and I don't necessarily disagree with this, are upset maybe at not spending the bigger money on signings, but the fact that the Union have been able to get to where they are and continue that success while not spending, big stupid money is really impressive. I think it speaks to the process that you have here that, you're able to develop talent and identify talent in a big way. And I'm really happy. It's funny too, because Carranza, now he's available to play tonight against Miami. So, that's a really fortuitous turnaround there. But it's a good signing. We'll see what else the Union get done. We're losing Stuart Finley. It seems like in this transfer window too. So maybe a defender coming in. We'll see how that fills out. But the goal scoring is the only area that I think you'd say that this team can improve on. And I think that's more just something as the season goes on, and we've already seen it to some extent. That you're going to see just better cohesion on the front end. So I'm excited. I think that the Union are really trending towards a positive direction. I think this is a team. This is a team. The Union are the team now that no one wants to play in the playoffs. Like, just the ugly way that they make you play, and how uncomfortable they make it for opposing teams. It's not I would say a fun experience playing Union right now.
Yeah, and I mean, I would say even just as a casual, Union fan right now, like, Union have one of the best home field advantages in all of MLS.
Yeah, it's certainly up there. I wish we had like a Portland expert. Portland, I think, is probably it for me. I think Portland is just like the tops. They do a lot of things right. I think they're fantastic. LAFC too, I think, has a good job. But yeah, Philly, fantastic. It's a great day out, great stadium, great atmosphere. And yeah, you're right in the thick of it too. Still sort of chasing the supporter shield. Going to be tough. You're going to have to make up some ground there. But, as far as seeding in the East, the Union have put themselves in a good position, at this point of the year to be chasing that top spot. And we've seen that home field advantage has mattered, especially to the Union. So it's going to be an exciting, as we're turning towards kind of the second half of the season. I'm really excited for where this Union team goes.
And I've been looking at the schedule, Matt, and I feel like we got to get to a game this summer. Obviously, I've only been to Subaru Park to cover the PLL when they have the playoffs there. Never been to a Union game. And you brought up Casper, obviously. Chicago and the Union playing on August 13th. Might be Underground Sports Night at the Union. Tickets looking kind of nice. I think that'd be a nice night out to catch the Union. So we'll let you guys know.
Ex-Liverpool man Jordan Shaqiri too for Chicago.
There it is. So the Union get after it against Miami, and they just continue to be, like we've said time and time again over the past 3 or 4 months, the epitome of the gold standard of how you want your sports team to be run. Unlike the Orange and Black. Before we get into them, just to remind everybody, I am live from Episcopal Academy for Shootout for Soldiers Philadelphia event. They are currently playing right now. I'm up in the press box. And Shootout for Soldiers, their mission is to use lacrosse as a platform to support American veterans and foster community engagement. Started by a group of high schoolers in Maryland in 2012, Shootout for Soldiers has raised over $4 million to support our nation's veterans. And Shootout for Soldiers events are an opportunity to educate and connect the civilian and military communities while fostering empathy and understanding. Matt, Johnny Gaudreau does not look like he's coming home. The Flyers have signed one of the biggest shitbags in the NHL, and they release a fan favorite. They buy out Oscar Lindblom. Claude Giroux's going home to Ottawa, and this team just seems completely dead. No sense of direction. They did draft the guy that President Pump, your brother, claimed they would draft, and it just seems like the Flyers have zero intention of competing, and it seems like they just don't know what they want to do with this team now. And it stems back to what everybody has said time and time again. Chuck Fletcher just sucks at his job.
Yeah, I mean, Chuck Fletcher, the day he got hired, I think there was already valid criticism about him and why he was holding this position. I didn't know much about Deangelo. I didn't know about his character issues in the past, and I just saw people complaining about that and about the fact that he just also isn't that good. It's not even one of those things where it's like, okay, you signed this scumbag, but it's like Deshaun Watson, right? Where it's like, okay, terrible person, but at least you can see how someone with sports brain rot is like, well, he's going to win this game. It's for what? You traded to get him too. It's not even so often these guys are well, you're just taking a flyer on him. He's on a minimum deal or whatever. It's like, no, you gave up pieces to acquire this guy. That's kind of insane. So, disappointing, all the way around. And I you know what? I hate the. It's he's a kid. He's just grown, and he's just grown so much as a person, and all this, and needs a second chance. And if that's your opinion, fine. I don't agree with it. I hate the other fans should feel that way type of thing, right? Where it's you're telling someone else how to feel about a situation. I can't stand that. I can't stand the weird moral high ground, yet you're not actually taking the moral high ground when you defend a guy like this. It's so strange to me. I don't know, man. Maybe the dude just sucks. Maybe his family just sucks.
His dad absolutely sucks.
His dad absolutely sucks. And makes a lot of sense. I'll tell you that much. But not everyone has this redeemable arc. Some people are just bad. Some people just suck as people, and you don't want to root for them. You don't want them on your team. You don't want to pay money to go see them as part of your team. The Lindblom stuff right after too just feels like all the good parts left. It just really feels like the air being let out of the balloon, and it's read the room, I think is really what it is.
And it also makes sense that Tony Deangelo's from Sewell, New Jersey as well.
Yeah. Wow.
The hoity-toities of Washington Township, baby. They do that. They bring Justin Braun back again. today. And then they sign another player from the Oilers who every single I don't even know who the guy is, never heard of him before, but every single person I follow on Twitter that's either a fan or covers the team pretty much the way we do, quote tweeted it and said, "What the fuck?" Because it's a 4-year deal, like a ton of money for a guy who just seems like he's not that good. And then on top of that, you're not getting Johnny Hockey, who has wanted to play for the Flyers since he was a kid, and it looks like he's either going to the New Jersey Devils.
Jackets.
Oh, the Blue Jackets confirmed?
I believe I saw a news article. It's a report. It's not, official.
Because I did see this afternoon that the Devils and the Islanders were very much in the mix.
Yeah, so this is apparently, according to Sportsnet's Elliot Friedman, coach of Friedman Star agreed to sign a long-term deal to join the Blue Jackets, but nothing. I don't think anything's been really confirmed yet.
7 minutes ago, ESPN, Johnny Gaudreau, 7 years, $9.5 million average annual value with Columbus. Confirmed to ESPN, first reported by Sportsnet. So yeah, Johnny Hockey's going to Columbus.
So stupid.
And then friend of the program, my boy Ethan Levy from Gotham Sportsnet, huge Islanders fan, just tweeted, Johnny Gaudreau's wife on the 10-hour drive to Philly while stuck in traffic with a screaming toddler. Home sweet home.
I don't know why the Flyers were in on him. Here's not that he's not a good player, but it's so hard for me to understand what the Flyers are doing right now. In one way they're bad, and then another way they're trying to pay to somehow be good. They're calling it an aggressive retool. What does that mean?
It means you're bad.
Aggressive retool means not only are we going to be bad, we're going to get rid of all the things that can help you when you're bad, like draft picks. We're going to trade all this stuff away and be worse. And on top of that, not even own our future now. It's bizarre.
Yeah, the team makes no sense. A lot of people are finally, opening their eyes and taking the orange tinted glasses off and realizing that this team is just bad. And the only way you can really show your disdain is just stop going to games. Stop giving them money. Yeah, they're still going to get theirs because the Flyers are owned by Comcast, obviously. But this team has shown, I was talking to a couple people today, the Flyers have not been really relevant since the early 2010s. There was the nice little run in the bubble. That was a nice little, treat, and then it ended abruptly. But this team has not given you any reason to support them for nearly a decade. So why... My question is why to people who are continuing to go and support this team, whether it's at games, buying merch, whatever it is. This team has not earned or warranted your support whatsoever because they truly just put it out there. They don't look like they care about winning. Yeah,
the direction of the Flyers now is it's hard to pin down, and I think it's hard. It's hard to defend too. I would say because there's no clear line of thinking with what the Flyers are doing. I think that's what's even more frustrating, at least for me, is I couldn't tell you where they're at right now. And I think this limbo that you put fans in, I think makes it even worse. When the Sixers are bad, right? It's okay, we suck, but at least we know there's an idea. The Phillies, we're going to be bad for a few years, but we know that this is building towards something. The Flyers are just bad with no clear sense, and the people in control are not ones that you trust, or not ones that you have at least Clentac at least at the time was okay, it didn't work out, but let's see what this guy has. It was a new face. Chuck Fletcher came in with tons of baggage to the Flyers team, and has done nothing, I would say, to unpack any of that. In fact, he might have just be adding more to it at this point.
And it's insane. Every other team right now you could say you kind of trust the direction that they're going in. Even the Phillies, like, they have Dave Dombrowski in the fold, and you know what he's about, so you can kind of get on board with what you kind of expect to happen at the trade deadline this year. They spent money this offseason. The Eagles have notoriously, you hate Howie Roseman for a year or two, and then he flips you right back, and right now the Eagles are riding an all-time high. The Sixers, Daryl Morey, people trust Daryl with what the direction for the Sixers is right now. And for the Flyers, there's been no clear direction, I think, since Ed Snyder passed away. Like, they truly just don't know what they want to do. They don't know what they want to be. The Flyers have an identity crisis, if you will. And it's a shame that they're wasting the prime years of the best goalie they've had in franchise history in decades during this time.
Yeah, it's very frustrating. That's really all you can say. But
we might once hockey season gets closer, we might just have to, run rampant on social and pick a hockey team to cover this year, because the Flyers simply are not cutting it.
Oh man, well, I walked past the Blue Jackets Stadium, so maybe we'll be Columbus is like second home to me at this point. So
they got Johnny Hockey, they got Jake Voracek.
Yeah. What's nice about them is there's pros and cons to every stadium situation, but there's just like downtown, so it's like a nice like sports arena district. Pretty cool spot.
Yeah, Columbus, you have just made the list of potential teams we'll be covering this fall for hockey, because the orange and black are just a giant black eye right now in the city of Philadelphia. That's all we got for you guys for this episode. Make sure you're following us on the socials at Underground PHI on Twitter, Instagram. Follow Matt on Twitter at Matt Castorina. Follow me at KBIZZL311. Check out the website, undergroundsportsphiladelphia.com, for all of our written content. This weekend, too, by the way, on Saturday, we will be on location for the third annual Jamil Demby Youth Football Camp. So if you're in the area, come hang out. We will be there supporting our guy Jamil Demby with his football camp and getting the wheels turning as football season right around the corner. And, we'll be talking to Jamil. I'm sure he'll be on the podcast a bit. So subscribe to the podcast feed, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, wherever you get your podcasts, we are there. Leave those 5-star ratings and reviews as well. It really helps the show. And more people finding Underground Sports Philadelphia. Enter our giveaway, our pinned tweet on Twitter, to win the issue number 22 Wolverine comic with the Brian Dawkins variant cover. And subscribe to the YouTube channel. You get an extra entry into the giveaway if you subscribe to the YouTube channel. Just search Underground Sports Philadelphia, and you hit the like button, click subscribe, click the bell icon, all that good stuff on the YouTube. Big thank you to our sponsors who make this show happen: Main Auto LLC, Ducharme's Pro Foot, Security 21, Security Systems, Paul J. Gillespie Incorporated, Mark Ronchetti CPA LLC, the Dental Wellness Center of Vineland, and of course Tomahawk Shades. Pick up Kenwood Beer and Bino Board. All of their information and our promo codes and links are linked in the show notes on audio and in the description on YouTube. Make sure you use our promo codes to help support our sponsors that support us. This has been episode number 446 of Underground Sports Philadelphia, live from Episcopal Academy. Shout out to Shootout for Soldiers for having us. And we will catch you guys later this week for the weekend show, and then back in studio next week, breaking all things down with the Phils. Hopefully some trade rumors swirling, and hopefully Kyle Schwarber, doesn't mess up his swing and wins the home run derby. But for Matt, I'm KB. Until next time, we are signing off. Peace.